What is ThorMagala? When looking at the monster, I firstly started to associate him with Magala. His wings and his head reminded me of the Dark Knight. The Dark Beast, or otherwise known as the Dark Eclipse. So far, there hasn't been any extra information released about Thor, so today, I'm going to look into what we know about monsters that can relate to him, and use that as a guide into what we can expect from him. You'll want to watch through to the end. The number of things I've learned on this journey even surprised me. And halfway through the video, I'll be doing a quiz about Monster Hunter, just to test who the true hunters are around here. So, Magala, ranked number 5 in the popularity poll by fans. I think looking into what makes him so popular is important to start off our research. So I asked some people in my community to see what they had to say. In the future guys, I'll be asking for more help from you all. If you want to be a part of us expanding our Monster Hunter knowledge on this channel, feel free to reply to the posts or videos, and I'll try to include as many people as possible. And here we got from Johan Gangas. Hope I didn't butcher that.
His dark, ominous presence. Also, the shift into his enraged state looks pretty impressive. The fight itself is simply awesome. Tough but not unfair. You get punished pretty hard, but if you fight him, you'll get rewarded a ton if you do it the right way.
And yeah, I kinda just imagine all of you that watch me sound like the most heroic people around, so I had to represent them properly. So John, which is what I call this person, focuses on the experience throughout the fight and how he shifts between the fight into his final form. Also, the fact that he's tough but not unfair is important. Being fair is important to human beings. For example, most people understand that there's always going to be someone who's better at certain things than them or worse in other parts, and they can accept that, but when it feels like there's an unfair advantage, people lose interest. Similar in games, when you're doing a PvP game and you feel like there's a certain class that has a way bigger advantage than the other classes, some people kind of stop playing because they feel like it's not really fair balance. Being fair but tough is an important part of monster design. I hope Capcom can keep that up. Although, on my part, I'm kind of a masochist. I enjoy a bit of unfair time to time. And next we have Konbon.
Literally just about everything. The lore and story around it is phenomenal in 4U, its design is sick, and its gameplay gimmick of frenzy is fair and fun.
I see this a lot when it comes to Gore. A lot of people seem to associate him with the lore and the story of 4U. So, even though this monster isn't going to be the flagship, perhaps we can see quite a lot of lore and mystery added to this monster, which is going to make it very interesting to fight against and learn more about. Moving on to my boy Agent, he had this to say.
His zombie virus plague scales he uses to clear out areas. He's basically a hungry caterpillar that found out about chemistry warfare.
Interesting, he talks about the virus plague. In fact, that's one of the things I found interesting after doing my initial research. According to Wikipedia, when it comes to Magala, it relies almost exclusively on its scales to detect threats. As it scatters more scales, Magala's senses will gradually become sharper, and the colours under his wings slowly change and become brighter. We see this in game as the fight goes on longer and longer. The sky starts to darken and you feel an almost imposing presence of the Gore. Not many monsters can change the atmosphere around it. That domain is usually left for the elder dragons. Although Thor seems to be able to control lightning to a serious degree, perhaps briefly, but you can see the range of his lightning strikes within the cutscene. It looks devastating. Looking at him, I couldn't tell if he has eyes to see visibly, so for now we'll just fit him into the blind flying wyvern thunder monster category.
I'm legally blind!
Wait, that's basically Kezu. Are you telling me Capcom basically made Kezu 2.0? Nah, cancel him. Don't need no Monster Hunter War Simulator. We don't know much about Kezu 2.0. But something we do know is how much Capcom likes to take designs from the animal kingdom, so I think it's the best place to start to find out more about our little wannabe friend. I got help from a little friend to understand more about animals and optics. Needless to say, it was an enlightening experience. I never knew there were so many different ways monsters can see, and this begs the question, what can the possible outcomes mean for his gameplay? We'll brush through the list and highlight the most important ones. Firstly, we have Electroreception. Some animals like sharks, ray, and certain fish can detect electrical fields produced by other living organisms. They use specialized sensory organs called electroreceptors to sense these fields, which helps them locate their prey, navigate, and communicate. This one could be very interesting, since he's a lightning monster. Being able to detect electric fields and use them to sense other living organisms around the map would be really cool. Magnetoreception. Man, who makes up these words? Many animals such as birds, sea turtles, and some types of bacteria can sense the Earth's magnetic field. This ability, known as Magnetoreception, helps them with long-distance navigation and migration. He is a flying wyvern, so perhaps he shares some characteristics from birds, so he could have an innate way to understand his surroundings by the Earth's own magnetic field. Looking at his feet actually, they remind me of birds, and also Seregios, which is something we'll have to look into later. Echolocation. This one's an easy one. Bats, dolphins and some other animals use echolocation to see their surroundings by emitting sound waves and listening to the echoes that bounce off of objects. This helps them navigate, hunt and avoid obstacles, even in complete darkness or murky waters. He does remind me of a bat, so using sound waves to listen for echoes and to understand his surroundings could definitely be useful. But while searching and learning about bats, I actually realized they aren't actually legally blind. I remember someone telling me this before, but it always blows my mind to find this out again. The animal kingdom is incredible, wouldn't you guys agree? It kinda makes you feel bad that the equivalent to the animal kingdom in Monster Hunter is the monster world. All those ogres I killed just so my hammer could glow up. It's a sad reality. But it's a nice hammer though. Okay, onto that quiz. What monster was the first to inflict bleed on the hunter? And in what game were they first added? Drop a comment down below with the answer. And the reward is self-gratification, the best kind. Anyway, back on topic. So for now, we pinpointed number 1, 2 and 6 as a possible option he'll be using for sight. Which is great, we've narrowed him down, but where do we go from here? Yes, his damn feet. What are those? Similar to Hawk's feet, which brings us to Seregios. As we know, in Monster Hunter, many monsters are a mix of 2 or 3 different animals. A hawk and a porcupine, a frog, a platypus and a sumo wrestler? Or just lightning wolf? Darkness cat, fire lion, and chameleon poison dragon thingy. You get the gist. 2 things mixed together to create peak. And from 4, I'm getting a vibe as he's similar to a hawk and a bat. Pinpointing this will help us understand his gameplay a bit more. Now, I'm a big fan of hawks, but I actually don't know much about them. So, I watched a documentary about hawks to understand more about them and how they hunt, and what we may get from our boy, ThorZoo. So from the documentary, I got some interesting insights on how hawks prey. Hawks' claws are often used to pierce their prey. Often the prey dies due to bleeding out from the wounds. This could mean this monster could also have the bleed status. They also have enhanced vision, 6 to 8 times stronger than a human being. But for our case, for now, we're assuming that ThorZoo can't really see, so perhaps this heightens his other senses. I'm legally blind! Hawks can also find it difficult to hunt when there are packs or flocks of animals. I'm wondering if this will be important when it comes to monster herds, because hawks normally pick on animals that are wounded, elderly or sick, or slower than the others. So I'm thinking there may be some unique situations where a wounded monster is running out on herd, and Zoothor swoops in to take his prey. The possibilities are interesting to think about. So for Zuko, that's not even canonically correct. Zuko couldn't even use lightning. So for Zula really does seem to have a lot going for it. From possibly being able to use bleed, and the way he'd be able to detect prey and us hunters, and so on. But there's one more monster he actually reminds me of. The thunderous rage himself, Astalos. I realized in the last exploration video I made, I actually love Astalos' entrance. It just looks so freaking awesome. He is truly the coolest of the Fatal 4, and his deviant may really be the strongest boss I've ever fought in Monster Hunter history. Oh no. This is tough. I'm stuck! Now, the thing that reminds me of Astalos was the way ThorZoo was floating in the air while it was striking Doshiguma. The position he was in and the way he moves his wings look very similar to Astalos. So what does this mean? Perhaps nothing. Or it could mean that Astalos' model is being used for ThorZoo, and we'll actually see them fighting in a similar way. I'm excited to see the possibilities that will come from this new monster. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think down below. Drop a comment if you liked what you had to see. And if you have anything else to add to this, you know, I'm always interested in learning more. But yeah, that Astalos stuff is really cool. Like, go back to the other video and just count how many times I actually threw it into that video. You know, the shot of him coming through the clouds. Like, that's actually awesome. Probably one of the best shots I've seen them. The CG trailers they actually made for Monster Hunter. It's so cool. Right, tune in for next week where we're going to have another video exploring some new things in Monster Hunter Wilds. See ya.
You can see though, right? I'm legally blind, I can see, barely.